Finch, and I'm not particularly big on making videos, even though you've probably seen me around on Instagram and stuff. But in light of a recent post, I decided that I'm going to try and open up some kind of discussion or just put something out there. You see a lot of videos from persecutor perspectives online. I don't like to consider myself as one, but that is pretty much the case as far as labelling alter roles go. And I haven't actually planned what I'm gonna say, because I just haven't. But I just want to preface the whole thing with the fact that I am going to be discussing self-harm, and I'm not sure how in-depth it's going to get, but if that kind of topic is going to be upsetting for you, then now's probably the best time to switch it off and either come back another time or skip out on this one. This strand of hair is really irritating me, so if we just pretend it's not happening, that would be swell. Basically, I think most of you have probably seen it, but in a recent Instagram post, I vented some really big frustrations with the fact that self-harm is a huge issue for me personally, and being in an adult body and still having that issue really adds to a lot of shame and embarrassment surrounding that. And it has been an issue for us for nearly 10 years. And by that point, if you experienced it or if you haven't, you probably know that breaking a habit or a coping mechanism like that is extremely difficult. And it's super frustrating. We try really hard, and I do as well, to break those cycles, but like I said, it's been so long, it's really hard to escape it. And one of the biggest things that we struggle with, and it's not just me, it's others in the system as well, is that things like self-injury are seen as something that you sort of grow out of when you hit a certain age. It's seen as a very teenager kind of issue, and I'm not downplaying it as something that a lot of young people really struggle with. But when you hit a certain age, it seems to alter how it feels to be dealing with that. And on the post, I'm really, really appreciative and grateful for all the kind comments people have left. And it's really highlighted that we're not alone in the situation of dealing with long-term self-injury, which is nice on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's highlighted that a lot of people feel the same way we do, and that we're too old to be still experiencing a problem like that, when obviously that isn't the case. A lot of the time when people turn to self-harm for whatever reason, it's something that they cover up and they hide and don't want to, let other people know it's happening. And in that scenario, that's part of the reason it seems to develop as a long-term coping mechanism and habit. So it makes so much sense that people in their 20s, 30s, 50s, upwards, whatever, are still dealing with it, but it doesn't take away like I said, the embarrassment that you're too old, again, to be dealing with that. And it's been a really long time, and it was something I kicked for probably a few years, and it's recently come back as a big issue. But it is also something that escalates without you really realizing it. You start with one thing and it gets to a point where you're just not getting the same fix anymore with whatever kind of behavior you're engaging with. And it hit a point really fast for me actually in the past couple of years, where it went from this is fine, I can patch myself up at home and get on with it, to I may have really fucked up this time and I need to go to the hospital, or I'm dragging friends out at like 4 o'clock in the morning to take me places to get seen to, or I have to disturb my flatmate or friends, or just anyone I can reach out to at that time to check that I am not needing to go to an emergency room or whatever. And that has been the case recently, which is really, again, difficult to deal with because you don't realize that you've hit that point until it's too late, and then you have to deal with going to a hospital and explaining to nurses or whatever what's happened. And part of the reason I try and just deal with it at home now is because I can't handle the embarrassment that I feel with regards to explaining it to someone at a hospital or whatever. And I just thought it was really important to vent the frustrations that there are older people who deal with it who aren't teenagers, and it isn't addressed as much as young people who have, teenagers who are engaging in that behaviour. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not downplaying that it's extremely difficult for anyone going through it, but you hit a certain point where it just becomes something that is really, really something you don't talk about. And a few people came forward in the Instagram comments and in our DMs saying that they were in the same boat, and it was nice to see that somebody else was not nice, but it helped them feel less alone in what they were dealing with, which also helped me feel less like I'm alone in the situation and will help others in our system. But basically, I just kind of wanted to get the point out that it's, if you're older and still dealing with or have alters who are engaging in self-harming behavior, that it isn't uncommon and you're not alone in that. There's nothing to be ashamed about, even though it's, it's obviously natural to feel that way. Anybody that's doing that sort of thing is going to feel like they can't talk to anybody about it. But I really wish that when this first became a problem that we had the chance to hear someone say, just don't even start. Like, it is quite often romanticized on the internet as, this brave, like, fight type thing, and there's very few posts that, or like people speaking out and saying, just don't even begin. And I know we have younger people who follow us and watch our videos or talk to us online and stuff, and just to even say to one person, like, don't even bother, run to the hills and scream that you need help because you feel like doing that to yourself, because you get to this point where it's just escalated and it's dangerous, it's scary, it's permanent. Like, I've, damaged our body permanently, and nobody nobody wants to deal with that. I'm never going to be proud of, like, winning some metaphorical battle with myself, or, I don't feel brave, and I don't want people to tell me that I'm really brave for dealing with what I do and I'm gonna win this fight and get there and I'm doing great and just keep up the good work, because it isn't that. It's just a fucked up thing that has just become so ingrained that it's the only way I know how to handle my emotions. I don't want people to turn around and feed me romanticized bullshit that I am doing amazing, because I'm not. And I know that, and I know people are just trying to be positive and helpful, but we are nearly 21 years old and I'm still dealing with something that, albeit I am a teenager personally, but I am still dealing with something that a lot of people are expected to kick by the time they turn, I don't know, 18. So yeah, basically the point in this is to remind people who are older and still dealing with it that it's completely normal. You've been doing it for so long. It's, it's an addiction, and it just gets worse because after each time you need more to get the fix, to get the adrenaline, to get the release of what's happened. But it isn't a battle. It is a battle. It's cracking an addiction, but it's not something that you can just be all wet about. And fair enough if it works for you, if that kind of emotional support works for you, do whatever you can to look after yourself. But if you are in a situation where you are considering hurting yourself, or you have done it and it hasn't been a problem for very long, get help as soon as you possibly can. And if it's something that you've been dealing with for so many years and you feel like you're too old to be still doing it, still dealing with it, you are not. And it gets harder. The longer you've been doing it for, the harder it is to kick. But there is nothing to be ashamed about. And I hope that by coming out and speaking about it to however many people are going to watch this, which probably isn't that many, that it can help people realize that it doesn't matter how old you are, how long you've been doing it. It's a really fucked up thing, and it's something that you should definitely make an effort to get help for. But if you're older and still dealing with it, you aren't alone in your situation, and it's perfectly okay to be dealing with this sort of thing at any age, at any point in your life, because it's not something that just goes away. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say on the matter. My Instagram post probably details it better because I had time to think about what I was going to say. But I am going to stop this now because I can't remember any of the other points that I had to add. But yeah, thanks for stopping by to listen to me ramble about my shit.